he like held it from like the center plate and then the side like this, and but it was like strapped, like he was literally just holding it like this.
So you could only see one side plate?
You saw, yeah, it was insane. I was just like, dude,
yeah, that
number of times that we've practiced just sitting here holding titles.
Yeah,
how
literally,
can you mess
like
up holding a title. Welcome back to the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm Mark Izzo, and he is Dillon O'Brien, and we are your hosts for this fine podcast / media company. And on this episode, we will be going over some more potential matches that could be going down at Bash in Berlin. But before we get into that, there's two good ways to help support us. Number one being buying our merch. We have, I believe, 7 designs up currently on the shop, so you can go to tpublic.com and you can search the Burning Hammer, or you can click the link in the description or the link in our bio on our social media. We have a bunch of stuff going up on there. Then we have a bunch of stuff locked and loaded, and we are going to keep the designs churning and burning. And then another great way to help support us is to sign up for our Patreon for only $1 a month. You can join the World Champion tier, and with that tier, you get early content, you get ad-free content, and you get exclusive content, plus a ton of other stuff. We're kind of posting on there a lot more as if it's like our social media, and that's been a lot of fun. So on this Friday, I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek. I believe this Friday is the top 5 finishers. So you'll get that early. If you want to sign for the Patreon, again, $1 a month. Even if you don't want to pay the $1, you can still sign up and you can still join the Burning Hammer movement. And we do have some stuff up there that you can view, even if you don't, if you're not subscribed to the World Champion tier. So again, those are the two best ways to support the Burning Hammer boys. So with that being said, let's dive into Bash in Berlin, because we have 2 matches confirmed as of recording this. Number 1 is Gunther versus Randall Keith Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is one that when we talked about it, I believe it was on last week's episode, we talked about who Gunther was going to face at Bash. We didn't really remember that Triple H said that Randy and Gunther were going to meet down the line. Shame on us. We should have remembered it. After Gunther beat Randy at King of the Ring, his shoulder was up. A lot of people were talking about if it was like an actual mistake or if it was a work. Well, it doesn't matter because we're getting that match at Bash in Berlin. And then they also announced on Friday Night SmackDown, your WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, is defending his title against the prize fighter, Kevin Owens. So, Dill, why don't we start with Gunther versus Randy Orton? Talk me through your expectations for this match and your excitement level.
I mean, first things first, I'm all about this match. I think everyone's about a part 2 to this. And rightfully so. I think I think everything kind of lines up, and this is kind of a perfect storm to have this match right now. You get a not only a credible first challenger, you have a Hall of Famer in a first ballot, no doubt, one of the greatest of all time in Randy Orton going up against Gunther. So he checks off that first box of having a credible first threat. Someone who's a good challenger for Gunther in his first defense. And then it also checks the box in that it makes sense. We had the unclean finish to that King of the Ring final, and it's in Gunther's character. Like he said this past Monday, it makes sense for him to say, yeah, I want this match with you, because that I don't like that I have this kind of smudge on my record that people don't know if I can actually beat you. Gunther's the type of guy that is going to bother him, and it makes a lot of sense. I think it was, and third, being the person that he just took the title off of, Damian, is in another feud with Finn that just has so much heat right now that it just makes sense for Damian to just worry about the world title later on, and because he's going to deal with Finn now. So I think all of that, like, combined, just kind of makes it almost just kind of like a perfect matchup for Bash and Berlin. And then you get, we'll say the one thing is that he did say that Berlin was Gunther's home country like a few times, and it's not. He's from Austria, not Germany. So that was like a thing. But
did people say anything about that online?
I don't know. I didn't really see much.
Gotcha.
But it's not his home country. Like,
I was curious if that would have caused like a big stir. Some people probably just don't even really realize.
It might have. I don't really check too much. I know he a big chunk of his name in wrestling was made in Germany and WXW and whatnot. So obviously it's a significant. It is a homecoming for him. But it was just kind of funny that I was just like thinking it. And I thought Gunther was going to be like, I'm Austrian. Like, but he just didn't. Which I thought that would have been like, he should have. He should have been like, well, Randy, for starters, I'm Austrian, not German. Like, I thought that would have been hilarious.
Maybe he will on SmackDown this week. Or Raw, I mean. But I mean, yeah, this is, again, obviously they're going to put on another hell of a match. I think everyone is super excited for it. And this feels like a good, like, it's a good match to throw in there when you have a short amount of time until the next premium live event.
That too.
Because that was kind of the thing where, or one of the things like I was trying to figure out from last week with having Priest lose at SummerSlam was like, we were talking about when he was going to get his rematch, and Bash and Berlin just felt too soon with getting screwed by Finn Balor. So it makes sense to have him get a nice big win against Randy at Bash and Berlin, and then maybe at Bad Blood or Survivor Series, or even maybe farther down the line, Priest will go after the title that he got screwed from. But again, this match is going to rule. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be hard hitting. This crowd is going to be so electric. As we know with international crowds, they never cease to amaze us. So we are both super pumped for this match, and it's going to be an absolute banger. So let's move on to the other match that has been confirmed at time of recording this. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. I did not see this one coming. What about you?
Yeah, no, I didn't see this one coming at all. I saw a few people actually hint at it online, so kudos to them. If you did see this one coming, first things first, like you said, I think situations like this are always weird when they only have like 3 weeks to build for a premium live event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There isn't too much of a story to build. But I do like the way that they ended up setting it up in the way of where it was like Nick Aldis was like, well, I'm going to get Roman his rematch. And then Kevin was like, basically like, all right, well, if it's going to go to Roman, then I'll take it. Like, because it's not like, it's not going to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and, but I mean, above all else, it's a match we haven't gotten before, and I'm really excited. It's a first time ever, Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes, man. Cody didn't bring it up. I'm sure he will in a promo. It just makes sense to me that he would. But he's talked about it plenty times before about when he did venture out onto the indies, and he was a WWE guy from the day he stepped into a ring. So he didn't really know what to do. And Kevin Owens was the guy that he approached to connect him with some people and looked to him for some advice on what to do. And he connected him with the Young Bucks and stuff. And that's kind of how Cody went on to make so many of the friends that he did make on the indies and throughout, and then eventually AEW everyone knows, obviously. But so I just think it makes a lot of sense that like Cody wants the match, not only because, like I said, I think Cody will probably get into it, but he said essentially he's like, you've earned this by you've done so much to help me that I want to do this for you. Um, and they didn't get into that, and I'm thinking maybe that Cody will further down the line on another promo, maybe this upcoming week on SmackDown. That's when Cody says, "You don't even realize what I'm talking about, do you?" He's like, "You've been here for me with the bloodline and everything." He was like, "When I was at my lowest, Stardust, I quit this company. I had nowhere to go. You were the person I went to, and I was leaving this company to go make a name somewhere else, and you didn't need to help me, and you did everything you could to make sure it started the road to finishing the story in a way." So I think there's a way that they can like connect that and give KO a lot of credit for Cody's rise. And I think that's kind of how Cody's going to put over KO and kind of tell him how much he deserves this. So it'll be interesting. And above all else, it's just going to be a banger, man. KO versus Cody Rhodes for the first time. Let's go.
It's going to be awesome. And I mean, you know me, KO's one of you guys I don't know if you guys may not know this, but a while ago, me and Dillon did our top 5 wrestlers ever. Kevin Owens is on that list for me. Maybe we'll do an updated version this year, because I know some things shifted for Dillon in terms of his rankings. So, I mean, anytime Kevin Owens gets a shot at the world title, I'm happy and I'm for it. And especially when they do it like this, like, that's the thing, like what you said earlier was how they went about doing the 2 title matches, because you have a short amount of time. They have like 3 or 4 weeks from SummerSlam to Bash in Berlin, and instead of just having like some rando come out and be like, I want that title, which is like kind of what I thought they were gonna do with Gunther before Randy came out, and then they were like, oh yeah, remember this thing that we did a couple of months ago. And instead of doing that, they have 2 good things that were kind of, one was being on the back burner, which it was Randy didn't cleanly get pinned from Gunther in the King of the Ring. And then you have another good reason of Cody being like, hey, you've been helping me a lot over these past few months and year and even longer, and you've had your run-in with the bloodline. Like, you've earned an opportunity at the WWE Championship, the title that you've constantly gotten screwed out of whenever he tried to wrestle Roman for it. So, I mean, yeah, you got 2 great reasons. Like, it's the small stuff like that I really enjoy in wrestling, is when things just kind of make sense instead of just having random things pop up.
Yeah,
like
it's
for
beautiful
example,
when the story writes itself.
Yeah, and like the one thing that happened on SmackDown, which we'll touch on very briefly because it bothered me, but like, why does DIY not get a rematch for their tag titles? Why they gotta go through a contender tournament? Don't they have a rematch clause? Like, that's the kind of like the small stuff like that when things don't really make sense. Like, it really just irks me, especially when they just lost it in their hometown and then they kind of just got screwed and then they have to work their way back to the tag title picture. I think it's kind of annoying, especially with DIY. Like,
They still have the DIY nameplates on the tag titles, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I did not.
Like, they haven't even put Bloodline.
Maybe they're coming home.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not.
Probably not.
They probably were just like, damn,
let's
They were probably just like, damn, they realized that they didn't have Bloodline side plates. They were probably like, damn, like, we have them for Roman, we have them for the Usos, but we like don't really have any that just say like the Bloodline or something. So like they probably
and
need
especially
new ones.
When it's like one's Tama and one is Fatu.
Yeah, well, and now it's definitely going to be Freebird because Tangaloa was holding the title.
Also, let's talk about that real quick. This is a message to Tonga. You know, the Burning Hammer boys, we never like to hate on anybody, but another pet peeve of mine is when wrestlers cannot hold a damn title right. Tonga, learn how to hold the title up, my man. It's not hard. Did you see the way he held it up?
Maybe I didn't really notice.
Dude,
Oh,
My
where
God.
it was like the metal was kind of just like facing the ground, right?
No,
No? Oh.
he held it. Um, hold on. I'll get this title. Hold on. Okay. He held it like this. For those of you that are listening, you need to be watching. He like held it from like the center plate and then the side like this. And but it was like strapped. Like he was literally just holding it like this.
So you could
And
only see
it
one
looked,
side plate?
you saw, yeah, it was insane. I was just like, dude,
Yeah,
the
that
number of
looks weird.
times that we've practiced just sitting here holding titles.
Yeah,
How can you
literally,
mess
like your
up
whole
holding a
life.
title? It's so simple. Like that's the shit that pisses me off. Is just when like learn how to hold a title.
That's so funny.
Anyway,
I don't know how
little
I
side
missed that.
tangent. Dude,
Because
it
that
was
would
the
have
first
definitely
thing I
pissed me
saw.
off.
It pissed
I
me
must
off
have
so
not.
much.
Yeah, I must have been looking at something else.
But let's move on because we're going to discuss what other matches we think could be happening at Bash in Berlin. I believe it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm
I don't know
remembering
for
it
sure. Yeah.
correctly. So I think it was 1 o'clock. But they've been doing 5 matches for international PLEs. So I'm going to assume they're going to do 5, at most 6, but I think it's probably the most likely situation is there's going to be 5. And I don't know about you, but I was shocked that both titles were going to be defended for the men, like the men's world titles. It's like, I don't know. It's tough because like obviously Cody's such a massive draw and he's a big hit across the entire world, and you're gonna have Gunther defended. So I guess it's not too shocking when like you think about it, but like initially I was a little surprised because I figured they're only gonna have 5 matches. So, and coming off of SummerSlam
Yeah.
where
I think
every
that's the
world
big.
title was defended.
I think the big thing is with the international pay-per-views, it's just like they just want to see the world champion, you know what I mean? And they're like, I don't know, who knows the next time we're going to be back here for a pay-per-view. I think they've gotten like, yeah, and I think Cody's also just that type. Like I think Cody's like, yeah, there's tons of people in Germany who I'm probably their favorite wrestler, and this is their chance to see me, so I'm gonna wrestle. You know what I mean? Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, and yeah, and like we were saying before, with both matchups, I mean, yeah, nobody's complaining like with the matches that they set up either. So with KO and
Which one do
Cody,
you think main events?
it has to be Gunther, dude. It has to be.
Agreed. Fully agree.
This is your chance to have that world title finally, like finally show people that you view it the same way that you view the WWE title, is put it
Yeah.
in the main event on the same show
Yeah.
as that. So
Yeah.
it's got to be Gunther.
It's simple. It's simple.
And
I would assume that Cody and KO kick off.
Yeah, that would be my thought too, because that's like a fun, more friendly one. I was also gonna say, so we got the return of Roman on SmackDown this Friday.
Sure did.
We've yet to hear him speak a word into a microphone, at least. We've yet to hear him cut a real promo. He's really just gotten into it with Solo. When do you think we hear from Roman? And do you think he has a match at Bash in Berlin? Do you think we get a Roman match?
I don't think we get a Roman match at Bash in Berlin.
I don't think so either.
I think that what last night or a couple of nights ago on SmackDown, what that told me is we're playing the slow game with this Bloodline story. You know what I mean? 2 weeks, Roman returns on SummerSlam, he returns on SmackDown, and he hasn't said a word yet. So I think that we're playing the slow game and we're playing the long game. So I
think we might be playing to either Roman versus Solo or Roman versus Fatu at Bad Blood potentially. Um, or they might just play this all the way to Survivor Series.
I could see them doing it until Survivor Series. I think I'm kind of with you on Roman versus Fatu.
Yeah.
Bad blood, as long as he's healthy. Because I think it's going to be like Solo. So I think we'll get a Roman promo before Bash. But I think we'll probably only end up getting like one. So I think that, let's see, this week coming up, I don't think Roman's going to be on the card. I think that Solo and the Bloodline will probably cut a promo, and then I could see within the following week or two that Roman comes back and he cuts a promo. Do you think Paul? When do you think Heyman comes back with him?
That was my thought too. So I was like, do you think like that happens at the same time? Do you think we hear from Roman speaks the same time that Paul? Where I was thinking a good one would be if like if you saw Paul, all right, so like the Bloodline's attacking Roman, and then Paul runs out or whatever, and he's like,
he's got some brass knucks maybe
or something, and he's just like, he's the real tribal chief, and this is the real Bloodline, and then we get like the Usos or something, or I don't know, like maybe, I mean, we're gonna have to get the Jimmy J reunion before we get them like together again. So we'll see how it all. They really might play the long game on this and like bring it all the way to Survivor Series. When do you think Jimmy returns?
See, it's tough because like Survivor Series isn't that far away.
Yeah,
like what we have.
It's a few months,
3 months ish. So it's like. So I think this is all leading towards Survivor Series, Bloodline versus Bloodline. Like I feel pretty confident about that.
Do you think Sammy's involved in that? At this point, it kind of does feel like he probably
it does, is. But I like. It's tough because I like want him to, and it obviously that makes sense. But part of me is like, this may just end up being like a family thing where Sammy tries to help and Roman's like, we need, like, this is a bloodline thing, like we need to handle this ourselves. I don't want you getting involved, like no one can control the other bloodline. So I think that the first step now, the next step that we're on is getting the Usos reunited.
Yeah,
right. And I think that needs to happen. I think Jay probably comes to Roman's aid at some point. Maybe if we get Roman versus Fatu at Bad Blood, pending Fatu is healthy. If not him, probably Tama. But I think that's going to be a situation where, although Roman's been doing good against the numbers, against the Bloodline up until this point, I think the numbers are going to become too much because it's 1-on-4. And so I think it's going to be a situation where Jay comes out and helps Roman. I think that's going to kind of be like the first thing, the first little step towards the Usos coming back together. And then Jimmy's going to come to the aid of Jay. And and then it's going to be interesting to see like if Roman's bloodline is going to get another member, or if it's going to be Sammy. But definitely, you guys let us know in the comments. Do you think that Roman's bloodline is going to get another member of the family, maybe Zilla? Or do you think it's going to be Sammy or someone outside of their blood? But what do you think? You think it's going to be Sammy? You think we're getting someone else? What do you think, Dill?
At this point, I do think Sammy's going to be involved. I do think it's still possible for Zilla Fatu to get involved. Because I do think it leads to like, I do still think The Rock is involved in this whole thing. Like I still do.
The other thing.
I still like whether or not he ends up showing up at Survivor Series. I think is probably Like, I think there's probably a slim chance of that happening, but like, somebody had to appoint Solo as the new tribal chief. Somebody had to give him the Ulafala, I believe it's called, the necklace worn by the tribal chief. You can only be gifted that by the elders. It's that was a whole thing I saw with like Paul when he brought it out, and Paul was like, "Where did you get that?" Like, Paul was like, "Who gave that to you? Who gave that to you?" Like, because like someone, it's not just something you can take.
God, I love this story, man.
Yeah. So
so fucking good.
So it's gonna have to. But yeah, dude, I don't know, because it really felt like we were gonna get the Paul return with Roman.
It does, but happen? Now I'm sort of like, I think it's going to be of a thing where it's like step one for Roman was like coming back and trying to get his what is it?
I think Paul Ulafa. I think so. I don't want to like disrespect the culture, honestly, by like mispronouncing it and like butchering it.
But I think it's going to be like his first step was trying to get that back, and then he's going to be like, "Where's the wise man?" And so that's why I think like if he doesn't cut his promo like another 2 weeks, Ulafala.
Yeah.
So I think like maybe in 2 weeks when he cuts his first promo, I think there's a good chance that Paul Heyman comes back. If not, I
was also thinking I think there's a good chance that Paul might be the very last thing. So like I just like because I just thought about it in my head where I'm just like, so in my head I'm like, Roman forms this bloodline all back together. You know what I mean? He gets his bloodline to take on this new bloodline, and he goes, "We're still missing something. I need my wise man." You know what I mean? And then it's like, then we get, and he's just like, something's off, and it's because he doesn't have his wise man.
Of course, that would be sick too.
Yeah, so I think there's a good chance it could be something like that, where Paul is the final piece. And I honestly didn't even think about that till like right this second, but because the whole time I was just so convinced that Paul was going to come back quickly, but now maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to be out a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that happening also.
Yeah. I mean, he did get fucking power bombed through a table.
He got obliterated.
He's a man. He's a fucking man, dude.
He's awesome. So,
I was gonna say, so let's get into like Berlin matches, because I have one that comes to my mind, and this is one I feel pretty good that this match is probably gonna happen.
Okay.
I got the Terror Twins, Damian and Rhea, taking on Dom and Liv in a mixed tag match.
Okay. I like that.
I think it extends the feud between Liv. I think it extends all the feuds a little bit by giving us a mixed tag. And I think it makes a lot of sense. People want to see Dom and Rhea in the ring at the same time. Finn doesn't want to get Damian just yet. You know what I mean? He's playing with him, not giving him the match. That feels like probably a match we get at Bad Blood. So where do we go? And that's where I think it makes the most sense. They're really pushing. Damian and Rhea are still together. They're the Terror Twins. They're the OGs. I love the Terror Twins, dude. It's so sick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they're
awesome.
Yeah, dude. That was the first match that came to my head. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I think that's a good match to sort of give us before we actually get to Priest versus Finn.
Exactly. And we get to another Liv Rhea. It's a good way to extend both of these feuds.
Yeah, so like that's what my other thing was.
And that's the other thing is they're both pissed at Dom too. They both want to get their hands on Dom.
Yeah.
Just as much as they want to get their hands on Finn. So
Yeah, and it was funny. I forget who it was, but someone. I apologize, but someone tweeted that Dom's the only person to be a heel and turn heel.
No, yeah, I saw that. He was like, "Bro turned more heel. Like, how does that happen?" Like, yeah, that really is crazy.
So, I don't think either of the women's world titles are going to be defended. I think that I feel pretty good with you now. I didn't think about that match prior to this, but I think there's a good chance that that happens. I could see potentially Ludwig versus Sheamus, or maybe Sheamus versus Pete Dunne.
Okay,
could be more likely because I don't think maybe LA Knight takes on defends his US title at Bash because they're doing the number one contender for that. So maybe that happens.
it's Santos.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I kind of I didn't know if that was like the finals, but
Yeah.
no, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just one match.
If we're going to get that at Bash of Berlin, I would be honestly, I might be a little surprised if we don't end up getting that to have LA Knight in his first title defense in the very next PLE.
Yeah.
Because you talk about a massive, it's going to be that. Another match that I could see.
What about Ludwig versus Braun?
I could see that, but I just don't. I don't know if they're going to throw Braun on the card because I think
no, I agree. I'm not 100% with you. I want to get Ludwig on the card, and I feel like they kind of do too.
They probably do. That's why I was thinking maybe Ludwig versus Sheamus, or maybe it's a triple threat: Pete Dunne versus Sheamus versus Ludwig, or I think Ludwig's going to go after the IC title. I think that'd be pretty awesome for him to go after that title. I'm hoping it happens. I don't know when it's going to happen, but hopefully it happens sooner rather than later because obviously Ludwig, he just returned from injury and he's great. And obviously WWE thinks very highly of him. So I think that those are a couple matches that could happen. I could see them doing, I don't know how likely it is, but I could see them doing Chelsea versus Tiff as a potential match.
I could also see the women's tag titles getting on the card.
Yeah. That's another good one.
Yeah, Jade just pinned Alba Fire on Friday. So that's a potential. And then they also kind of reunited with Naomi because like Blair Davenport has kind of joined the Unholy Union.
Yeah.
So
maybe
could even get a 6-woman tag.
It depends. So like we have the two, so then there would be 3 other matches. So I feel pretty good about the mixed tag match. So then we have 2 matches.
We're gonna get a tag match.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get a tag match.
So maybe Knight doesn't defend, and he defends on the Friday Night SmackDown before.
I mean, don't count.
What about Uncle Howdy? He wasn't.
Maybe we get Uncle Howdy.
Yeah,
maybe we get Uncle Howdy versus right Chad Gable.
Maybe. I mean, I could see it. They were awesome, by the way. Very pumped for this.
Made.
I definitely like Gable teaming with the Creed brothers. I wish.
No, I wish she is.
Ivy Nile was still with them
because they did a segment. With
cool.
They did a segment, and Chad was like, "What are you doing talking to her? What are you doing talking to her? You're a winner now." Like the Creeds and some point.
Okay, cool.
And turn on Maxine.
Because I'm not able to watch Raw that much, so the only thing that I saw was like their Gable's little promo right before they went out with the Creed brothers. I thought Niall went out with them.
So up to this point was going to be a part or not, but this Monday it's I'm 100%. I'm 100% side. She's a great fit.
Just don't have to. I mean, American Made. What are your thoughts on the name American Made?
On me. Grow on me.
I think it's fine.
That's why I'm like, I feel like it might grow on me. Yeah. I think we might be looking at it to be cool. So that it's like, I don't know. We'll see.
It's because it's funny too, because they did. My goodness, do we love when tag teams have matching gear. And it's kind of, I don't know if like, it's not like super like, it wasn't like, this wasn't like hard to kind of decipher, but it's also from their tag team in, from him and Jason Jordan NXT American Alpha, and then he had the Alpha Academy, and now he has American Made. So it's kind of following a trend there, which American Alpha is also a great name.
Yeah.
And if you guys, for some reason, if you're watching or listening to this and you haven't watched Gable and Jason Jordan in NXT, you need to, because shit.
Jason Jordan has a talk to Chad Gable at some point. Just thought it would be. I'm sure they. Just thought it would be.
Yeah.
And he's like one of their more successful producers at this point. Like they rely on. They rely on.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's Uncle Howdy. Maybe Nia defends. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Maybe you guys let us know what you think the match card is going to be. I think that maybe what is today, 10th? Maybe on next week's episode we'll kind of dive a little bit more deeper into like how we think the Bloodline stuff
that's a good idea.
Is going to pan out. But let me ask you this real quick. Do you think for the US title, do you think that Santos is going to be a long-term challenger for it? And if not, who do you think is up next?
It's a good question.
I think that there's a solid chance that it could be Melo or Andrade.
I think Carmelo, because LA Knight
also
still throwing some digs at Carmelo here and there. I've seen like out in interviews and stuff like that. So I think maybe they go back to that.
I wish that what at this point with like Melo and Andrade, I wish they would kind of have it into like a wrestling series like AEW did with, I think it was the Young Bucks and somebody, but if they were just like, let's have a best of 7. Like, if you're gonna have them wrestle every week, just kind of do it like that, because it would kind of fit Melo's gimmick also. But you guys, like I said, you guys let us know.
Sheamus and Cesaro.
What?
The Bar, like their tag team was started off as a feud,
series?
And then they had a best of 7 series, and then they had a best of 7 series, and after the series they were like, hey, I think we respect each other a lot. and they became the Bar. Or I think it might have been like they were feuding so hard that they put them together, and then once they were together, they were like, we respect a lot. But I know they had a best of 7 series right before they became a tag team. And I just thought that was very cool.
Hell yeah.
Bro, the Bar was such a good
You talk about a hidden gem of a tag team. Bar, they were also bad. My God. So you guys let us know in the comments what matches you think are going down. And let us know when you think that Paul Heyman is going to return with Roman Reigns. Again, hit up the description to shop our merch, or you can go to tpublic.com and search The Burning Hammer on there and sign up for our Patreon. You can do a free membership, and we still will post some stuff on there. Or you can sign up for the World Champion tier. $1. Early content, ad-free content, and you get exclusive content. So make sure to sign up for that. All that stuff will be linked in the description or in our bio on our social media. With that being said, I'm Mark Izzo. He is Dillon O'Brien, and this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast. We'll catch you next week.